YouTube. Getting going on TikTok here too. Facebook shut me down. So here we go. If you are a CSA survivor like me, then you probably, chances are, have cPTSD. And you also have a good chance of having been misdiagnosed, or you will be misdiagnosed in the future with ADHD or OCD or ADD or depression or suicidal tendencies or bipolar or borderline personality disorder. When what's going on is you have unprocessed memories that need to be reprocessed. And today I and my alters are talking about the D in spades. I'm Linda Kay Gifford. I am a survivor of 7 years of childhood sexual grooming and assault. Um, I've written a book called Self-Talk, My Continuing Efforts to Survive Childhood Sexual Grooming and Assault that may be getting its name changed, says my publisher. I will update you on that. But essentially, I'm writing the Bible, in my opinion, for CSA survivors like myself. I've learned so much. I've done everything wrong and learned what's right. And now I've become a neurolinguistic practitioner myself, and I'm going to talk about that today too, because I want to explain how NLP fits in with modern science, because that's the argument against it by basically religious-backed institutions of learning. Anyone can have a PhD, right? They can be an evangelical Christian, have a PhD. And if you go in to talk to them about your cPTSD, your past childhood sexual assault, they might tell you dumbass things like, God did this to you for a reason so you can help others. This is your learning experience. This is divine ordained somehow. And this shame-based culture we are in makes it so that even those of us who are showing tremendous success rates, tremendous, multiple times that of drug treatments and talk therapy treatments and all, they want to discredit neurolinguistic programming because it works and it doesn't cost anything. So let's work on how to dive into life and feel, which is the D in spades. Don't wait to feel okay to be okay. And what I mean by that is you're a survivor of childhood sexual assault, and you are never going to feel like you were not a survivor of childhood sexual assault. That I cannot give you. No one can give you that. No talk therapy, no drug, no counselor, no therapist, no partner, no preacher can give you that. You have to fix you. You have to fix yourself. You didn't break you. But here's the deal. You're not broken, right? And modern science likes to tell you you're broken. We can see the neurological differences in the brain now, which is absolutely true. And I preach all about that. Go back to the P in Spades Week. Library is on YouTube and being updated. Some of them aren't in there. It's complicated. But they will be shortly, because this is all going to podcast as soon as we get done rolling them live here. And then I'll be producing new lives to supplement and go along with all the other chapters in the book. The Bible for CSA survivors with cPTSD, which is all of you, whether you know it or not. So I talked at length about the S in spades. The first week was the introduction, but the second week, the shame is not yours. Why, how, where it comes from, language, society, everything. Go back and review those 2 days, please. Then we moved on to separating the past from the present, dealing intensely with dissociation. And we could spend literally weeks on that, or years if you want to. But encapsulated into the P week is separating the past from the present, why it's important, why you don't, how to do it. Then we moved on to A last week, asking for what you want. And I want to review that a bit, because we're going to they all lead right into each other. Spades is what I do every day. It's what I realized I did every day. I started writing it down. My therapist said, this is cool. I started talking to people. It started helping. And here we are with a book and a workshop program and publicity and sponsorship letters going out. And I'm really excited. We're about to hit 5,000 followers online. People who want to date me, please go away. Jesus Christ. Pardon my language. All the other prophets too. Should I blasphemize everybody or unblasphemize? Jesus Christ. Probably that would be the best route. Okay. Probably edit that out. But anyway, so misdiagnosis leads to first the talk therapy. What happened to you? Right? Which is a good place to start, except when you're dealing with traumatic memories already that are so, they're not forgotten. This is where they get us in court. It's so distressing when it's happening and you're a child who's forming your brain and you've already learned enough from your life and your parents and society to understand that this is wrong. And instead of going after your perpetrator, you roll into guilt and shame and you hide. And these things become very protecting. They allowed me to go on and be a straight A student. No one, I mean, people are like in shock to the point of some people don't believe me when I tell them what happened to me 4 years of my childhood, because I was an exemplary standout student. My parents were great. Everybody loved them for real. I love them too. They were great. My dad was principal in my high school and a former minister. He sang and danced in shows. My mother was an artist. Had a great family. But they didn't know that somebody would look at me and start using me sexually at such a young age that it became ingrained in me. And what happens to those of us who this happened to, we learn to dissociate. And I talked, that's the P in spades. Go back and review that. I don't have time to break it all down, but I broke down the neurological differences that develop, scientifically proven, etc. Okay, briefly recounting, the amygdala, your fight or flight center of the brain, is markedly larger in those of us with cPTSD. We can look at it and see that. And also we see shrinkage in the hippocampus. And the fight or flight, what it's doing is it's so mortified by what's going on at such a young age that it doesn't develop the neural connectivity to put it into solid memories, because you couldn't live that way. Children and brains are amazing. And what we've learned, you know, we always argue, is it nurture or nature? Is it nurture or nature? Well, it's not starting to look like, it's been understood by a long time over many scientific practices that you really can't separate the two. I mean, why does one cancer survivor make it when another does not, when they have the same chances? Why does one person suddenly give up medicine and prepare to die and their illness goes away? How come someone can juggle a rattlesnake and get cured? I'm not saying it's real. I'm saying what you believe will become real. And I talked all about manifesting also in the P week. We're going to talk a whole lot more about manifesting in the last essence page, which is spirit. Don't be scared. It's not religion. It's not religion. It's whatever you feel it to be. And you just need to know that you're part of something, that you yourself are, while being part of a life force, you are a unique entity who deserves every single thing you want within the reason of not harming another. And of course, I believe you need to be doing well by humanity and your fellow man. I mean, if you can pass a person on the side of the street and just be glad it's not you, then I'm not the person for you, because educating and advocating for change is a huge part of what I do. I even started a full profit page on Facebook. It started kind of as a joke. Because some minister friend of mine said, in all seriousness, that I should be a modern day prophet. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's funny. Daughter of a preacher, haha. And then I got into it with my sister, who's got a very orthodox Christian bent on things. And I'm like, you know what? I'm going full prophet. Forward, united in light and love. So I think we need a political center and a spiritual center for anybody who just wants to get along, common sense reason. And that's what full profit is. But that's not why we're here today. We are on the D in spades. And here's the deal. They're going to suggest drugs. They're going to talk you to death, and that's not going to work. Then you're going to go to someone else, and you're going to talk to that counselor, and that's not going to work. You're going to try another antidepressant or the serotonin uptake inhibitor. You're going to move through. I went through Paxil and Zoloft and Wellbutrin and Effexor and Lyrica, like one or two of each, and I was done. Like, this is not for me. And I found a better way. I found cognitive behavioral therapy. And then I found EMDR, which I still haven't done because I'm autistic and I think it'll blow up my brain. But it works amazingly well for those who are not autistic. And that led to visual kinetic dissociation. These are all things that really are just modern day interpretations of what neurolinguistics have been saying since basically it was coined back in, I want to say 1916, but I think that's actually the birth of Virginia Sater. Anyway, she was the person who was the first like family therapist who said, instead of treating the individual, we need to look at the whole family dynamic. And it led to various people, Brady Griner writing the book about neurolinguistic programming and getting in a big legal fight that ended up with both of them owning the rights to NLP, which means anybody can, which is why some scientific professions don't like to recognize NLP. The certifications are all over the board. So I do want to warn you, anybody could call themselves an NLP without risking legal complications. I study, I have personal experience, and I am on a personal mission, and I am seeing the way that all of the useful practices are really part of neurolinguistic programming. It's not esoteric. It is the recognizing what a person, not saying, hey, there's something wrong with you, take this pill, or tell me all about it. Do you feel better? No? Okay, take this pill and go talk to someone else. Maybe you'll feel better if you talk to them. What you do is you look at what happened to you in a new way, and you reprocess it with these various techniques. EMDR is eye movement, while typically with PTSD, it's while speaking, while guided into two questions to recount your trauma in a peaceful place with a therapist, a trained therapist, right? But with cPTSD and childhood sexual assault and other childhood traumas, they're finding that that can be the same as talk therapy, and that'll make the EMDR not stick. For some people it does. But when you do the eye movement, it seems weird, I know, but it's just, this is your brain is now hearing what's going on and reprocessing it. But if you have cPTSD, you can do the same thing with being guided through the thought process, but not actually speaking it out loud. And here's the deal. Speaking it out loud for a trauma survivor who was traumatized in childhood is very difficult. It's very painful. And my phone's very much about to die. Hang on. I'll be right back. What a dummy. Mess with the wrong bitch in the wrong era. I've been at work. I got my badge of honor. Okay. Good. I changed so much since the time I last saw you. I love Chinchilla's song that I used for my thing. Okay, we're good. Sorry about that. Okay. Yes. Evidently, my staff didn't show up again today. Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, the difference between a neurolinguistic practitioner and someone with a PhD is they can both be good, they can both be bad, they can both lead you down the right path or the wrong path. You need to pick your therapist, you need to pick your doctor, and you need to pick your NLP to be somebody that you have seen, have felt, moved by, have seen results from. So, what I see is by using the trauma focused cognitive behavioral therapy, one practices you're putting, without words, you're putting your experience into the form, or even with words. You either write the words and you write your story, and as your reality, and as you write it and read it, your brain is now looking at it through the lens of an adult who is going to remember what you've written. And you may think you don't know anything until you start writing, and you'll be surprised. It'll just start to flow. And I basically am a writer. I'm a songwriter. I write everything. But I did my own art. Here's an example of cognitive behavioral therapy. This is my actual breakthrough notebook. This is when I realized that I had been so victimized by somebody that I adored, my sister's first husband. And he was nice. So I drew this picture. I didn't know where to start. So I'm like, okay, I remember always hanging out under the carport, this green Camaro. And I always remember him being nice and smiling. He always wanted me to hang out, you know? And there's me, all smiling face. And then, again, I didn't know what I was doing. My therapist wanted me to do this. And I'm like, okay. So then another memory, sitting around the table, all having fun, drinking. Note how I drew myself looking a lot older than I really was. This is years ago. Here I am drinking with grown people at the table. I don't know who the other one is, but I can remember the look. I remember what he looked like. And that's Jen. That's grape juice and Jen. That's what they were feeding me as a child adolescent. By the age of 10, 11, I was drinking grape juice and gin and partying, and feeling bad because I knew that was wrong. And so I say I'm dizzy and I can't stop laughing. Yes, I want to go driving because you drive off-road. It's fun. He used to go drive off-road in his other Bronco, his other vehicle. And it's like, then I remembered what would happen in the Bronco. And I'm not going to hold this up for long, but I remembered the things that happened in the Bronco and I drew them. And there's another one that's way more explicit that I remembered from the Bronco. And I'm just like, I couldn't get to the end of that without realizing that I was the victim. And that's important. And yeah, it hurts. It hurts, but it doesn't hurt every day and it doesn't hurt every minute. It hurts while I cognitively think about it. And then I turn it into action. I've turned it into a book. I've turned it into a workshop. I've turned it into counseling. I've turned it into an NLP, and I'm turning it into an advocacy and a movement. And I need you there. And to do that, you're going to have to fix yourself. Okay, don't rely on other people. Like last week, I was saying, ask for what you want. That doesn't mean give me this, give me that. Oh, boo-hoo, I didn't get what I want. No one gave me what I wanted. That's not what I mean at all. Asking for what you want means removing from your life the things you don't want. You can't do that all at once. I realize you've got to keep a roof over. You might have kids. You might have an abusive spouse. You might be in school about to graduate. You know, you work in increments the best you can. And in the meantime, you keep your own head on straight. You know what's right and what's wrong. Even if it's still happening to you, you get it in your head what is right and what is wrong, and you head away from it. You turn to us. You turn to RAINN. You turn to Thorn. If you're in trouble now, you call 1-800-656-4673, which is HOPE. 656-HOPE, right? And they will route you to a center closest to where you are to try to get you some immediate help. Thorn is the place that you can, or to me, because I will report to Thorn. If you think somebody's being trafficked, if you think there's trafficking going on in your area, You don't have to call the cops on your neighbor. People are so reluctant to do anything because they're afraid if they're wrong, they're going to get in trouble. It's like, call Thorn. Let them do the cyber research. And if there is something there, they're going to get local, regional, federal, private agencies, cops, military. Everyone's going to converge together. They're going to work to find out where those traffickers' roots are, and they're going to work on the whole organization. Thorn needs you. You might need RAINN, but Thorn needs you to stop sex trafficking. And no, I wasn't sex trafficked per se, but I was shared as a child. And I consider that the same thing. And it makes me fucking angry. Freaking angry. So what we do to be okay, because you're never going to graduate. There's no graduation date for survivors of childhood sexual assault. But there is the ability to learn to be intimate with someone for real. There is the ability to learn how to be orgasmic for real. And the only way I believe that's possible is in bonded relationships. That's my thought and belief. You have your view of what a bonded relationship is. I don't care. But it should be a bonded relationship. And I talked at length last week about the love, sex, intimacy paradox, where you've got, I'm not going to write it all out again, go to last week. And it's pretty bad last week because I was using washable markers instead of Expo. Oops. And I learned how to write backwards because this is backwards. Anyway, so sex, there's sex intimacy, right? There's intimacy love, there's love sex. And you want to be here. You want to be here in the middle, right? But if you're a cPTSD sufferer from childhood sexual assault, you probably think that sex and intimacy, you probably think that sex is love. And I went all into that last week. I don't have time for that right now. But you probably think sex is love. You probably think when you're intimate with someone that they're going to love you. And we're taught that love involves intimacy and love also involves sex, but it doesn't work the other way. A lot of people are just having sex with you and you want to know the difference, right? So I recommend, in the diving in part, doesn't mean go sleep with everybody. I stopped myself. It means take 2 to 6 months with one person before you get involved. If they don't want to wait, they're not your person. If you are looking for a bonded lifetime partner, then don't hook up with someone right away. Wait and see who sticks around. And don't hide your secrets. Don't make a secret out of what happened to you, because I did that through 3 marriages and 3 divorces. And while I don't think I married the right people, I didn't marry bad, horrible people. I just wasn't being true to myself. I was trying to please everybody else. And that's something we do that I talked about last week. Go review last week's on YouTube for the Ask for What You Want, the A in spades. But sticking with D and kind of crossing with the last spirit, culture makes us shame-based. I'm not going to say Christian, but an evangelical, religious-based culture makes a person, it teaches people you're born bad and you have to earn your way into heaven, okay? And if you believe that, and you believe you're born bad, it's easy to adopt the belief that, oh, maybe God did something to me, like have me be raped as a child, for instance, so that I could go out and do good in the world. And I'm here to tell you, that's BS. That's bullshit. Never say that to someone. If you have a counselor or a therapist, I don't care how many degrees they've got hanging on the wall. If they tell you this happened to you for a reason, you don't slap them in the face. You walk. You definitely don't slap them upside the head. You just walk, because that would be illegal. And that would be a bad thing to do when someone tells you God lets children get raped so that they can go out and help the world. Obviously, that's screwed up. But you're talking about like the culture being driven, our shame-based society being driven by people who show up regularly in church to eat symbolically the flesh and drink the blood of somebody. I think Jesus was an awesome dude. I think Muhammad, super cool. There's a lot great people, great teachers. I'll even go so far as to call him prophet if you want, because what is a prophet but some lady who had a good message that stuck, right? It's like a rebel and a patriot. It's who wins is the one. But if you're winning on the side of truth and justice and kindness and goodness in the world, that's pretty powerful. Yay, Jesus. Awesome. But you'll never make me believe that apples weren't put on trees to be eaten, or evolved onto trees to be eaten. You'll never make me believe that I or anybody else was born anything other than pure. And you'll never make me believe that there is some kind of a power that uses people and children and puppies or whatever as pawns in some kind of a fear and judgment game. That's not it. So let that go too, because part of getting over shame is starting with the belief and the knowledge that your core being is fine. You don't have, you are not your body. You have a body, as I was explaining before. Your core being is perfect. Unless you're like one of those psychopaths that lacks empathy, and there's still a nature nurture argument there that we can make. But most people, everybody, your core is good. And all you have to do is believe that, and believe that this is, maybe you get multiple lives. I kind of think so. But I don't care if it's true or not. I don't care if you believe it's true or not. What I care about is that in this one, where we happen to be living and talking, and where children are trapped in sex rings and bought and sold and traded and stolen out of campgrounds, to the terror of their families, to when we live in this world, then we need to not only learn how to exist in it, we need to learn how to excel in it. We need to learn how to be joyous in it, and we need to learn how to change it so it keeps getting better. If my preacher father taught me nothing else, because he left the Methodist Church because of hypocrisy in it way early on and went into counseling. He had degrees in psychology, masters in psychology, ancient history, and theology. So we talked a lot about this growing up. And, all respect to him for not being able to handle the religious doctrine after he got all trained in the seminary for it. He's like, he still led prayers my whole life. We still were a praying family. But we knew that a universal force was what guided all of the goodness and the kindness and the worthwhile parts of people's religions. So here's what you need to do in order to feel okay and dive in and be okay in the world. One of the things, and we're going to talk more about this next week in Educate and Advocate, is to realize that you don't have to give up your religion if, in my opinion, okay, this is rules according to Linda, and I am God in my world, and you're God in your world. Rules according to me. You don't have to give up your religion if you want to accept the rituals that harken back to your childhood and make you feel warm and fuzzy, and you want to accept the goodness and the kindness and the love and the potlucks. Definitely the potlucks. Candlelight ceremonies, awesome. Sunrise ceremonies, super fun if you like to get up. But throw out the part where they disparage against anybody in any way. Tell them that's not okay. Work from inside your religion if you're going to stay in it. To reject commoditizing women, reject sexualizing children, reject disparaging against others of any kind. And this goes back to the top of not waiting to feel okay to be okay. You have to fix you. I can't fix you. I'll give you tips and tricks, and I'll talk there, and I'll hold your hand, and I'll be your friend. And that's what got me far. But I fixed me. I made a decision that I wasn't going to live my life that way. I made a decision that I was going to face up to the fact that all my failed marriages had something to do with me. And I made a decision that I wasn't going to be ruled by my past. And I learned true bonding, finally, but not because Mr. Right came along, not because I waited for a cowboy or a white knight. I let Mr. or Mrs., whoever you are, right in when I realized I deserved that. And so I started picking and choosing. You deserve to pick and choose in life. So while you're out there diving in, don't dive too far, don't dive too deep, and definitely don't dive without a protection. But don't even do that. You need to know a person, a minimum. This is Crappy Childhood Fairy says 2 to 6 months. Or she says, like, her research says too. Crappy Childhood Fairy, always plug her. I watch everything she does. She is not sex specific. She is not childhood sexual abuse, cPTSD specific, but she covers every single thing about cPTSD before we branch off into that so wonderfully well that I have her hashtag in all of my things, not because I want to steal her audience, but because I want you to go see her. I want you to also listen to the Crappy Childhood Fairy, Anna Runkle. Wonderful stuff. And it was she that said, she recommends, as a survivor of not CSA, but of cPTSD and abuse, 6 months minimum. You don't need to be jumping into a physical relationship with someone. What happens when you do is you get chemically attached, you get hormonally attached, you want to make it work, your cPTSD kicks in, you're trying to live up to that person, you want to be everything for them. But they need to be everything for you. Everything for you from now on. And that is not selfish. That is selfless. Everything for you. Because if you aren't doing what you want to do, living the life you want to live, sleeping with who you want to, I recommend bonding for real. Talked all about that, going to talk all about that and work on that one-on-one with people too. So from the boardroom to the bedroom, that's important. But you have to take the steps to educate yourself. You have to take the steps to educate yourself as to what current research is, what works, what doesn't. Do you want to just go take pills and hope for the best when you know, if you do some reading, that that's very ineffective? I mean, it might work. It will deaden your sex drive. It'll make you maybe feel a little pleasant, and if unmotivated. Is that what you want out of life? Because when I tried various antidepressants early on, Neurontin, Paxil, I was saying them earlier, Zoloft, all of these things made me feel like, ugh. And that is the worst feeling of all. I would rather be breaking something 1 minute and laughing the next, and then all the time, whatever it is. Terrible face. That's not cool. I want to feel my feelings. I want to feel my emotions, and I want to feel my orgasms. And people don't even want to have sex often when they are on antidepressants. And that is going to kill a relationship. It is going to kill an intimate relationship. No matter how much you love someone and they love you, we are meant to bond physically. We are meant, not taking it from the Bible, but mutual joy is also in the Quran. It's in holy books. It's in not holy books. It's in porn. Mutual joy is pretty agreed upon. So why do we give it up? Why do you go out in the world and stop experiencing sexual joy? Why do you marry someone and then get so tired and so caught up or fighting and bickering and then turn it all into we're just raising the kids and going through the motions? Why do you deny yourself that rush, that bond? I couldn't even imagine it. And it took me a long time to feel it because, as I was talking about last week, for the last 2 weeks, you become a performance artist sexually when you have cPTSD from CSA, because sexual feelings feel good. And when you feel them at a very young age and associate them with terror and badness, then even when you start to feel good sexual feelings, the terror and the badness and the fear kicks in. And so you go on and proceed because this is a person you want to be with. You love them. They love you. And you're shutting down. but you go through with it because you know that this is part of the sex, love, intimacy thing. You know that if you're going to be in love, you need to have sex. And you know you even want to. So you do it. And you start to do it, and then you don't feel anything because you are thinking about them. You're thinking about who else they've been with, if you're good enough. You're thinking about the past. You're thinking about the future. You're thinking about someone else doing this to you that you didn't want to be doing it to you. All these intrusive thoughts stop you from actually bonding in the moment. And this is where, sexual intimacy is just the most important, critical thing in life. And please stop sending me dick pics and porn. It is getting out of control. Seriously, not interested. I am bonded with one human being who I love as much as my own life. I would take a bullet for them. And it is rude to keep being interrupted. And it's just indicative of what we're doing here and why society needs to change. When you go online and you bare your heart and soul and you write a book and you make a program to help people, and then the response is hundreds of guys from all over the world bombing you with, I want to fuck you, and porn and dick pics. Like, I made a meme. I'm shut down on Facebook right now for 24 hours for community standards. I'm not even sure why, but I did make a meme saying, thanks, thanks for all the dick pics and porn clips. I public property now. I'm going to put them together with your name included and sell them to raise money for Sweet Survivor, which obviously is against my ethics, I think. Probably against my, but chasing down your mama with those pictures and your papa, I will do that, and don't think I can. Okay? I just started making a file of the dick pics and the porn clips with your name, tracing you back. And if I get any more, they're going to your home country. And that might be good for you, because looking at where some of y'all coming from, just saying. I've seen cranes for people like you. With people swinging on them. People without heads. Yeah, don't do that thing. All right, that was weird, huh? So anyway, I'm going to wrap up here. While your brain grew the way it did because of your trauma in childhood, it can be reprogrammed and retrained. Absolutely. Modern science only backs that up. And the way to do that is not to drug your way out of it or to talk endlessly to different people. It is to retrain your brain. It is to decide what you want. It is to set that goal. It is to release from your life the things that don't fit it. And to just freaking love yourself so much every day that when you love somebody else, they are going to be freaking overwhelmed with how wonderful that is. All right? That's what I want. That's what I want. So, your homework, you need to, we're going to do an activity tomorrow. So, I want you to do homework tonight and be ready with it tomorrow. I want you to list the things that you wish you could do, the feelings you wish you could have, the places you wish you could go. I'm not saying get all crazy. I want $1 billion. I want to party with rock stars. I'm saying I want to be orgasmic with my partner, or I want to trust myself. I want to walk in a room without worrying if everyone thinks I'm weird and knows that I was assaulted as a child. Those things. Activities that you wish you could do, like if you're scared to go somewhere, put that on there, the place that you wish you could go but you're scared to. And next to your activities, make a list of your fears, what you think, what the fear is what you think will happen if you do that thing. And it's going to be really hard to come up with fears, and you're going to start seeing when you put it on paper that your rational thought process is going to start unraveling this and go, oh, when I look at it on paper and read it back, I think maybe my muddied up childhood unprocessed memories swirling around in the amygdala have been messing up my ability to go, oh, this happened to me. I'm part of this. This is what it means. And this is what I can do to make myself better and have a better life. Okay? Boom. And don't let anybody back to the top or somewhere I don't know if it was the top. I'm going to end with, don't let anyone tell you this happened for a reason. So you could go out and do good in the world. It didn't. It didn't. You weren't raped for a good reason. You were raped either by a pervert or for because society sexualizes children or by a trafficker. You were taken advantage of, whatever your age, you were not to blame. You were a child, adolescent, teen. It is not you. And if anybody says that, they are a shame-based person who thinks that we all have to earn our way into heaven or something. And, you know, I'm saying, what's more spiritual? The idea that we were born bad and have to be redeemed, or the idea that we were born pure and people can mess with us, but it doesn't change who we are on the inside? You know, I'm Linda Kay Gifford. I rock this world. It took me a long time to realize that I could do that thing, but I faked it till I made it. Let's rock it together. Sweet Survivor. Please support Sweet Survivor. It is my group. I am growing. We've got the Sweet Action Teams, which is providing information to Thorn. This is all just starting. You can be in first, one of the first bunch of people in the Sweet Hero Action Teams, which just means agree. It's like taking the oath, the Hippocratic oath. You're just going to say, I will not see something and not say something. Okay? That's what a Sweet Hero on the action team is. You can message me in the chat box with any information. I will forward it to Thorn. Now you're out of the picture. I will delete you. So that's what I want. I want you to be happy. I want you to have a good life. I get so many people saying, you must be so miserable. My own sister, you're not over it because you're talking about it. It's like, no, actually, that's how I got over it. And now I very much enjoy talking about it. Shocker, because I hid it from 3 marriages. Now I want to talk about it. I want it to change. I have a child getting married. He's probably going to have kids down the road. You have children. I care about people on this earth. A 9-year-old got stolen out of a campground this week. And fortunately, they found her. But there's a lot of them they don't find. Change the world with me. Support Sweet Survivor. Like and subscribe. Start a $5 monthly donation, please. And if you want to date me, and that's all, get off my algorithm. You're funking up my sway. I'll talk to you tomorrow. Bye. Linda Kay Gifford. Trying to turn it off. 2 streams at once. It's always ungraceful for one of you. Sorry about that. Okay. I'm trying to hit it. Sorry, TikTok. There we go. Booby shot. Oh my God, I thought I